Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, today kind of fun and exciting video for you guys today, and one that you're going to enjoy the follow-up details on. That is because there is more information out there about the Plaion replay Neo Geo AES Plus. And obviously this has become one of the internet's favorite topics, talking about details and trying to presume what's going on behind the scenes at Plaion. And honestly, if you know me and you know the channel, I am absolutely a huge Neo Geo fan. I have an AES, MVS, Neo Geo CD, an entire full set of Hyper Neo Geo 64 boards and games, and a very large AES collection that I spent like 25 years amassing. And even I, when I own all the hardware and a lot of the games, I'm absolutely excited for this, just because I am stoked to see Neo Geo coming back in 2026 and beyond. And honestly, there's even some rumors and some information out there that SNK might actually be thinking about producing new Neo Geo AES games. It isn't confirmed, but it definitely seems to be at least hinting at some new 2D games that they're making in pixel art style that could very well be for the AES Plus. So we're going to go over every single new bit of information. We have a bunch of new photographs of the hardware in games, at least in prototype stages, and kind of go over what it all means. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. And if you're here to ask the question, is it worth buying the Neo Geo AES Plus? Everyone has to decide that for themselves. For me, this was absolutely a no-brainer day one sort of thing, because I want to make videos on it, comparing it to MiSTer FPGA and the original AES hardware, testing all the games and other hardware and converters, and just giving everyone a heads up. And it certainly doesn't hurt that I am absolutely a massive Neo Geo fan who's been talking about it on the channel for almost 8 years now. But I am just shocked that this thing is actually coming out. We're getting Neo Geo back in our lives, and we're getting it at what seems to be a very fair price, at least in my opinion. Because trust me, I get $90 games or $90 games, but in the world of Neo Geo AES stuff, nothing is ever going to be cheap, so don't expect that. Now the first thing is we got a lot of photos of this thing actually being on display in Japan at an SNK store, and while it is all prototype status stuff and there's definitely some misspellings in the art, we have no idea what's actually in the AES case, it is fun to get a closer look at these things when they actually aren't just renders or mock-ups on the Plaion website. And you'll see here that this was listed as at the SNK Akihabara store, where they were basically putting a display out because you could pre-order the hardware in the games there. So you'll see all 10 games that are available in the first round, as well as the new stick and the new Neo Geo AES Plus. Now, is there any actual hardware inside of the AES Plus? We have absolutely no idea. My guess at this point in time would be probably not. It is just a shell with some DB15 ports and pins coming out of the bottom. Now, I could be as easily wrong as I am right, but considering this thing ships in November, I feel like the hardware isn't 100% done at this point in time. You tell me down below, what do you think? But as far as the actual appearance of these things are concerned, obviously not being there to be able to measure anything against real hardware, as far as the size and footprint is concerned, it looks 1-to-1 identical as a real Neo Geo should. But you will see here that some of the artwork is obviously going to have the new age rating on it, because these games are being released in an era where that has to happen. Now, there have been comments by some of the Plaion staff on Twitter that these will actually be reversible, so maybe on the inside you'll get the exact same art without the actual age rating on it, because that is totally permissible and fine to do. Taking a look here, you will see a copy of Garo Mark of the Wolves on the AES Plus cart, and that was definitely interesting because it seems like it's closely mirroring the artwork of the original games. So let's go over to my copy of something like Mark of the Wolves. You're watching Son Goku 3 right now. If you're curious, a game that I hope comes to the AES Plus. And I will say maybe they all look slightly different, but again, it's one of those things. Every camera kind of renders colors slightly differently, so it could be a 1-to-1 identical match. And a lot of Neo Geo cartridges, unfortunately, at least on the artwork side, can be sun faded. Mine is definitely exactly the color it should be, and it's kept behind a door where it's not getting hit by sun. So it will be interesting to see exactly how close these things get to the actual AES originals, especially in the overall manual and cartridges. And I really hope that they put everything in plastic baggies inside the box as well, because that's how they came out of the factory back in the day. And honestly, having those plastic bags definitely ups the value of an AES cart. I know it sounds insane, but it really is true. But now let's go to the next batch of photos showing a couple more close-ups of the actual console until we actually get to see the back for the first time, at least the first time I have seen the back of the console, because there's been a ton of questions on what the connectors are back there. Obviously we know HDMI is included, but people were very curious about what analog connector was going to be in the back, because they say it is going to support CRTs. Now you will see here again more photographs of that same display, but from different angles here, and some close-up shots. And I love that people go to the store, get these photos, and post them on Twitter for everyone to check out. So you will see here, at least this has a controller port within the plastic shell, and that is the standard Neo Geo controller port. You have the headphone slider volume as well as the headphone jack. And on the bottom, it looks like there is some sort of grate and active cooling, something that you really wouldn't see on an original Neo Geo AES, so it must be generating more heat, at least in their engineering designs. And you'll see here the memory card as well, with that plastic slightly peeled back, and it's only got 16 kilobytes of actual RAM, which is standard at this point in time, and will be more than enough, but I can only imagine it's probably hard to even source chips that have that little actual memory on them right now. Now going into the next batch of photos that you will see here, we do finally get a look at the back of the console. You're going to see USB-C, you're going to see HDMI, and you're going to see the DIN port. And Plaion has confirmed that's going to carry an RGB signal, and because that port on an original Neo Geo AES will also carry composite, that's what be my expectation. If you want to modify your system for other outputs, as far as an original AES, you can do S-video and even component out of the back. So I would assume that this at least does RGB, confirmed that they said that, and then composite, but hopefully S-video and even component are included as options as well, because honestly, mixing the actual analog output into different formats, not the hardest thing in the world. But you will see here my AES is modified for both S-video as well as composite with the stereo output. And it's one of those things you definitely want to have stereo coming out of the back, and I would highly presume that they have actually made that happen here on the AES Plus, because it'd be one of those things. It wouldn't be as much fun if it was in mono off the back, because they can definitely improve the design. And as far as what other games are coming are concerned, Plaion has teased more releases in the future, asking people what they want. We just don't know what those games are going to be yet or when they're going to be announced. My guess would be after the fact. And interestingly enough, for Tech, somebody who may or may not be involved in this project, is releasing a new batch of fusion converters to coincide with the launch of the AES Plus. If you're wondering whether or not MVS cartridges will work, that's a very interesting timing. And for Tech, if you're watching, you missed an opportunity here. You should have called the converter the Fusion converter, not the Fusion. It would have been a really fun tongue-in-cheek joke. All jokes aside, it is a great name and a great product, and I have played around with it. So again, it is not 100% confirmed, but it's very interesting that Furtek is making a new batch of these converters that are going to go out in November, and he states specifically on his website that they are not available for pre-order, so you're just going to have to wait. But it seems like not confirmed, MVS carts might be working on the AES Plus. Now, on the potential for new games for the AES are concerned, SNK released a 30th anniversary trailer talking about the history of Metal Slug and saying they were rebooting the mission in a gaming format. And while we have absolutely no idea what that actually means, reading between the lines, there is an outside straight potential that something like this could be made for the AES Plus, because it seems like they're trying to relaunch this thing as a platform. Now, obviously, don't buy it with that anticipation, only buy it and assume that you're only ever going to see the 10 games that are announced, and if anything else happens, definitely be excited, because the one thing I always warn people off, don't buy products because you hope they're going to become something else in the future, and then end up disappointed. Buy products because you want what they do now, and be happy if you get anything extra. And I have talked about the fact that I want to see a lot more Metal Slug games on the AES Plus. Even if they just released a box set of all 6 originals, I would buy that any day of the week and twice on Sundays. But honestly, you could make new games for the AES Plus, and it's one of those things. If we go to the actual website where SNK is hiring in just a few minutes, I will show you exactly that they are hiring for a 2D pixel artist in the Neo Geo style of things. And again, if we go over to the website, you'll see their mission reboot. They talked about the 30th anniversary, and they talk about the fact that it is going to be coming back. And definitely, even if it isn't for AES Plus, I want to see a new Metal Slug game out there sometime in the future. It still is my favorite franchise, and I absolutely love it to this day. You'll see here, to celebrate the 30 years of Metal Slug action, we're reigniting and rebooting this series, including new ventures in gaming. You can kind of assume whatever new ventures means. I'm sure it is just a little bit of a poor translation from Japanese to English, but if you actually go over to a hiring website in Japan and translate it, you're seeing that they're actually hiring for a 2D designer or dot animator. That is for sprites, so they're looking for somebody who can develop 2D artwork for some games. Now, this could as easily be for modern platforms as it could be for something like the AES Plus, but it definitely is at least something to think about, food for thought style. And honestly, SNK, if you're listening and you want to make one new game for the AES Plus, just go ahead and make Last Blade 3. and honestly, it would be a very easy thing to kind of quote-unquote double dip, make a game that runs on AES Plus, and then release it digitally on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and Steam, and you have a game you can sell across 5 platforms and make new cartridges on. Is that going to happen? We have no idea, but I hope to hell it's a universe we live in someday, but again, only expect it to play the 10 games it sells, plus the original AES library, nothing more and nothing less. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, but we're done. I love Neo Geo, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.